Congratulations on the film.
Oh, thank you.
Watched it earlier. It was fantastic. I mean, for a debutant like Johnny, who's written this script, I mean, what was your reaction when you first read it and it was a debut script?
Well, I'd sort of heard about it because Johnny and I are friends, and I didn't want to say, is there any parts for him in your film? Because I'm sure everybody was saying it. But I knew if he was going to put his heart and soul into something, it was going to be special. And it turned out to be right. And he rang up and just said, we were looking, your character originally wanted it to be older, but we decided to move it down the age group, and we'd love you to play it. So I just couldn't believe it.
Did they get you to watch any of the old classic boxing movies? Because this one has a real kind of energetic, real gritty feel to it.
What I did was Barry and Shane McGuigan were training Johnny and had been for a couple of years, and so Johnny had got me to go down to his old gym, the Fitzroy Lodge, and there's a trainer there called Mark Radgate, and I just shadowed him and watched him and listened to him talk about, there was a trainer there, a legendary trainer there called Mick Carney that trained Johnny, and Mark, everybody held in high esteem. He's passed on. I think it's the anniversary of his MBE today, actually, ironically.
Wow.
And so I just sort of soaked up that, that love and that respect, and that why a boxing gym is so important. I sort of got it from there, really.
How has it been in that last, obviously in the fight scene towards the end, when he goes back into the ring, and it's really gritty, and you feel like you're right in the mix of the thing. What was it like being on the kind of the outside of that, on the outside of the ring, and seeing all that stuff?
Well, because I was a cornerman and stuff, we got a lot of extras in, but a lot of them were boxing fans, so they were very animated, and between takes I'd be going around and getting them, come on, you know what I mean? I wasn't going to let them off. You're here for the day, you're going to work. But they were bang up for it. It was fantastic, What
was it like working with Ray? He's such a legend these days.
I'd never met him before, and I'd only ever heard fantastic stuff about him. And straight away he was just really kind, just really, cheeky, and started slagging me off, and I thought, it's all right, we're in. I'm in now. A working class. So somebody, if they don't slag you off, then they want to know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I took that as a compliment, I'm sure it was meant,
There's so many of these boxing movies, but it's the one sport, I guess, where there's so many films because they're so engaging.
And
so
my cravat straight?
It looks fantastic. I wish I had one.
Well,
keep my neck warm.
Neckerchief. Could just have a neckerchief. Let me zip that up for you. Get that sorted. There you go.
Lovely. Here we go.
See, how you feel?
Keep me warm.
The answer was already there.
I was going to ask you, obviously there's so many boxing movies, but it's the one sport that so many people are drawn to. I mean, what do you think it is about this genre of movies that people seem to like?
I think that there's something about that, that quest, that personal quest, one man against another man in a ring, nowhere to hide. I think there's a lot of them are about redemption in some ways, you know what I mean? And there's just something about that. There's no corners. You can't cut corners. Training for the boxing ring, and you have to face your fear and get on with it. And there's so many layers to that. And some films haven't served it properly, and some films have went for the big wham bam thank you ma'ams.
Yeah.
And this story in particular, I think, is just a beautiful, simple story about a man and his redemption. And I think that's what's really perfect about this film,
Just finally, I wanted to ask you, we spoke to you at Free Fire, which seems like a long time ago, even though the film's only just come out. Your good friend Ben has announced his new film with giant lobsters, giant squids, where he's doing with Alicia Vikander and
Freak
Army Hammer. Has he given you a call for that one? Do you know anything about it?
No, I can't imagine I'm going to get a call, but I would love to. Obviously, but Ben's the type, there will be other work, and if I'm right for it, I'll get the call. If I'm not right for it, I won't get the call. But I'm not going to be sitting at home being resentful. I've had a good run with him.
Yeah.
If I don't get any more work off him, but the bottom line is, of course I'd love to.
Sounds like a very different script for him, but pretty epic as well.
But he's also been talking about 3 or 4 other things.
Yeah.
He's a man who's he's a polymath. He's got so many ideas. So the next one's the next one, and the one after that will be the one after that.
Hopefully you'll get a call.
What I mean? Please God, you know what I mean? It's just, it is what it is. You got to have, as an actor, you got to have acceptance. If you start thinking it's your right to have something, then you're in trouble. Start having expectations, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So just get on with it.
Indeed. Listen, thank you so much for your time again.
My pleasure.
Absolute pleasure talking to you. Enjoy your
neck.
I will. Don't worry.
Don't worry about him. You didn't say a bloody word. Look at him. He's all muffed up to the eyeballs.
Yeah, right.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey You